Hi, welcome to KJ and Tony Love France.
First, we want to start by thanking you for the great response we got to our last video, When, Where, and Why.
When, where, and why we're moving to France. And today we're covering 3 more topics. We're actually diving a little deeper into the healthcare and the housing topic, and we're also sharing happiness as well. So the 3 H's, healthcare, housing, and happiness, relative to our move to France. And that's in response to the many comments and suggestions that were made on our last video. So we thought we would skip a week of posting some video footage from Nice and dive into these very important, I think they're very important topics, not just to us, but I think if you're considering a move to France, if you're planning a move to France like we are, which is how long? How many days?
16 months, 24 days, I think.
16 months, 24 days away. So we invite you to count down with us on our move to France. And today, though, we're going to talk about healthcare, housing, and happiness. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
First, we're going to talk about healthcare. And I just want to say that everything we've heard is that the healthcare system in France is terrific.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know that we really said that much about healthcare, just that you can apply to get this card Vital after 3 months of being in France. But one thing that we want to make clear is that the healthcare in France is not free.
Right.
Some people, many Americans and other people who move to France are under the assumption that the healthcare is free, and that is not the case at all. We have people that we know, we have contacts in France who are living in France, who are Americans who are living in France, and they've told us that the truth relative to healthcare is that you have to pay into it. And what they do is they tax, I think it's 8% is what we were told, above a certain amount of your income. For 2025, it was like $10,284. Anything above that, they tax, and that is what you're paying into the healthcare system. So it's not free, but the healthcare that's provided, from what I understand, is much less expensive compared to what we're paying here in the US. So that is really the only thing and the most important thing that I wanted to clear up, is that it's not free and you do have to pay into it, but that it's excellent. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, other than we're looking forward to moving there and not having to worry about whether healthcare is going to be, I'm older, I'm 68, I may need the healthcare system there. And everything we hear about it is really good.
And you don't have to opt into the healthcare system. You can get global insurance depending upon how long you intend to stay in France. And I think for some people, when they apply and go over on their long stay visa, maybe people will stay for a few years and they'll decide they'd rather move to Spain, or maybe people decide they do want to fully retire there and they'll apply for 5-year, 10-year. I'm not too worried about it at this point.
No, me either.
We're just taking it one step at a time, and you do have to have insurance. When you apply for your visa, you do need to have 1 year worth of insurance. We were able to apply for that through the visa website, gave us a resource that we clicked on, and it cost, I looked it up the other day, it cost us €1,000 for both of us.
For a year.
For a year.
And I understand that's renewable too, right?
Right. So there are options that are available.
And it sounds like it's not just one way to do it. There's multiple ways to do it.
Right. Now moving on to housing. Housing is another, I think, big topic, and it's a topic that we had many questions relative to. How do you apply for the visa if you have to have a place to live, and do you have to secure that place to live before you apply for the visa? And there are, just like healthcare, there are options. And So what we have learned from our previous mistakes moving to France when we previously did this is that you want to and you have to have a place where you're going to live for at least 3 months. So when you apply for the visa, you need to provide information to them relative to where you'll be staying for those first 3 months. And so the way that we're going to approach it, you want to talk about this?
We can also talk about what happened back when we were there last time. We actually got, just before we left Versailles, we got something in the mail saying that it was coming up, that our interview was coming up. So we had Airbnbs, right, set up, and that's what we're going to do again.
That's what we're going to do again, but the mistake that we made last time, because we didn't understand the way that it works, is that we were moving down to Nice at the time that we were contacted about having an appointment in Paris.
That was within a week of us moving to Nice. So we would have had to either come back to Paris for the appointment, which would have been okay, or see if we could move the appointment to Nice.
Right. So what we're planning to do, because I want to be able to see the apartment and tour the apartment in person. We know people who have moved to France and they have toured apartments online with the realtor. So the realtor has them on video and is showing them the apartment. But I don't know that I feel comfortable choosing an apartment that way. I want to be able to see the neighborhood and know much more than just seeing it over video, but you can do it that way. People have done it that way, but we're going to get an Airbnb for 3 months that we're going to provide that information when we apply for the visa. And then when we're there, we're going to look for a long-term
And it's not
rental.
that we're not doing some research in that now, right? Because as many times as we've been to Nice, there's parts of Nice we haven't really experienced.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking up places that are near places we've been to a lot because I'm hearing that they're great neighborhoods. For example, last time we went to the Port neighborhood for the first time and loved it and have sort of decided that we might want to be there. Now I'm hearing about other neighborhoods too we haven't been to.
Yeah.
So that 3 months is going to give us the opportunity to experience those newer neighborhoods that we don't know well. Because everybody thinks of Old Town. I've stayed in Old Town for a month. We've stayed in Old Town. We know it as well as the locals probably do at this point. But there's a lot of other parts to Nice.
Right. And we want to explore those neighborhoods, and we are going to do that when we go back to Nice in March. And the reason why we're not going back to Nice until March is because we're going to London next month, and then we're going back to Paris. And we're doing that because we are planning to move and we still have that love for Paris, and
Sure.
we want to go back and experience that. One other quick recommendation that was just suggested in a podcast that I recently watched, because we definitely are watching videos of Nice, other creators of videos and information that is helpful for people who are moving to France. And in this podcast, they suggested something that I had never considered, and that is when we move from here, because one of the things that has changed since our last video, because I've been researching and already contacted a realtor relative to selling our house, is that we are going to sell versus initially we thought we might rent.
Yeah.
But it's not a good market where we live to rent, so we are going to sell. And the person on this podcast said that when you sell and when you move, whether you own a home or you're renting or whatever the case may be, that they recommended you move into a temporary Airbnb or a temporary location for like a month to 2 or 3 months before you actually make the move. And I think that is a really great recommendation because we didn't do that.
We were in a frenzy. I remember it clearly.
It's very stressful.
We moved to Paris on a Sunday, and we were in a frenzy on Friday and especially on Saturday, and we had to race to get out of where we were living and get the people that were picking up the stuff that we gave away, get them to leave, and so we could clean the apartment. And then we raced to an airport hotel, and it was a frenzy. It was a complete frenzy.
It was. And this way, we're also putting things in storage with the intent of moving them over to France, belongings that we want to keep. And so I've been researching that, how you can share a container and it's less expensive. And
if you remember last time, we took 6 huge suitcases with us, which was not all the clothes we owned, but a big chunk of them. And this time we can just take enough for a couple of weeks, and we can launder them, but we know that the other stuff is coming in a few more weeks.
Right. Yes. So that's a change in the planning that we're going to do this time.
And now to the last and most important one, happiness.
Happiness, because the truth is, at the end of the day, it is much more about happiness than it is about logistics. The logistics will make it so that it will be less stressful and we will achieve more happiness. But moving there in the first place is really all about where we want to be and where we feel the most alive.
Sure.
And both of us agree that both Paris and Nice are places where we feel very connected and very alive when we're there. And I know that a viewer had asked the question about my parents, which thank you very much for asking about them, because the reason why we moved back, part of the reason why we moved back, and definitely the full reason why we're living in Vero Beach at the moment, is because of my parents. But my father has done a complete recovery. I mean, he's just about 100% from the stroke that he had, and they are doing fantastic. I mean,
and the things that he can't do anymore, he doesn't seem to really be missing.
Like riding a bike.
Right.
Like he can't ride a bike anymore, but he walks and he does exercises, and mentally, he and my mom are sharp and they're very, very physically fit. So they're fine and they don't really need us here. And I think that you would agree, if you are a parent, that most parents want their children to live out their dreams and live their lives and be happy. And moving to France is about our happiness and our timeline.
Sure, and this is
our biological clocks are ticking.
And this is a dream that's been 13 years in the making, right? By the time it's done, it'll be 15 years.
Right.
So it's just a completion of something that we realized in 2012. And actually, thanks to them.
Right, thanks to them, because we first experienced France on a cruise that we went on with my parents, and that was back in 2012. And Tony and I talked about retiring to France at that time. And so when we moved in 2022, it was definitely rushed and not thought through, and we just were not very, I think, smart about the way that we approached it. But it wasn't like we all of a sudden decided in 2021 or 2022 to move to France. This is something that we had talked about for a long time.
Sure.
So now here we are, January 2027 is when we're actually going to make the move, and it really is all about living the rest of our lives in a way and in a place that is going to maximize our happiness.
And while you were talking about how fit they are, I was thinking they're probably fitter than I am.
So they can come and visit us in France,
Sure.
and we'll be coming back here to visit them as well.
Absolutely.
And I would like to point out, maybe our viewers are not aware, I have 2 siblings. I have 2 brothers, one of which has a home that is less than an hour away from Vero Beach, and the other one, both of them are very much able to be here at this spur of the moment, like if anything were to happen. So they're totally fine. They don't need us to be here at the moment, and so we are moving forward with our plans for our own happiness.
I can't wait.
Me either. So we hope that you found this video to be helpful, or at least maybe even inspiring if you too are thinking about a move to France or anywhere else abroad, and we hope you'll join us in the next video.
And if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe.
A bientôt.
Au revoir.